card here in Vegas about a year ago, wound up with a technical draw in that one of 3 draws on his record, 20 wins, 5 losses, only 7 KOs. He's a technician, not a knockout puncher. And across the ring from Ricardo Vargas, it's the tall southpaw, 23-year-old Enrique Sanchez. He's had 17 fights, and a fighter named Jose Rangel went the distance with him twice. All of the other 15 were knockout victories, many of them in the early rounds. And as you look at Smiley Sanchez, as Larry Merchant has dubbed him, you'll take note of the fact that he defeated Marco Antonio Barrera, who has exceeded his reputation so far as a Mexican sensation in this weight class in what was Barrera's last amateur fight. Tail of the tape now between Enrique Sanchez and Ricardo Vargas, and you'll see that they're similar in age. Sanchez is 3 inches taller and has a 3-inch reach advantage and has the heavier frame. He weighed in at 122 for only 120.5 for Vargas. Rules of the bout now with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Enrique Sanchez-Ricardo Vargas fight is scheduled for 10 rounds. There is no standing 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you can be saved by the bell only in the 10th and final round. Jim.
All right, Harold, and now let's go straight to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight intros.
Gentlemen, welcome to Boulder Station Hotel and Casino right here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where tonight Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, along with your undisputed, undefeated King of Beers, Budweiser, this Buds for You, present an evening of professional boxing for your entertainment. All the bouts tonight are sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Dr. James Nave, Commissioners Nat Carasali, Dr. Elias Ghanem, Luther Mack, and Crispin Rivera. Physicians at ringside are Dr. Robert Voy, Dr. Flip Homansky, and Dr. Margaret Goodman. And your timekeepers at ringside are Jane Broadfoot and James Cavan. The 3 judges assigned to this first bout will be Dwayne Ford, Patricia Morse-Jarman, and Al Siciliano. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, your referee, Mitch Halpern. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the ring. 10 rounds of boxing in the super bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue trunks with white trim and weighing 120.5 pounds. His professional record, 20 victories. With only 5 defeats and 3 draws, 7 KOs to his credit. He comes to us from Tijuana, Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, Ricardo Chapo Vargas. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white trimmed in gold and weighing in at 122 pounds. His professional record, a perfect one of 17-0, 15 by KO. From Mexico City, Mexico, damas y caballeros, el zurdo de oro, Enrique Sanchez.
Come on out. Let's go, let's go. This will be a clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Any questions? Touch gloves. Touch it. Let's go.
Jim, when I heard we were doing a fight at Boulder Station, I called my relatives in Denver and told them we were finally coming up there with a fight. I hope they're not waiting tonight for it to start.
Oh, no, they're watching right now, Larry. They've helped to propel us to those great ratings for the first 3 editions of Boxing After Dark. Ricardo Chapo Vargas with a final prayer before he stands up for round 1 of this battle with Enrique Sanchez, and Sanchez patiently waits across the ring. Mitch Halpern, the referee, went over to note for Chapo Vargas that time was passing, and Sanchez comes out with a straight right hand to the mouth of Vargas and then lands a left hand behind it, and Enrique Sanchez, aware of his knockout reputation, looks to uphold it early.
Sanchez is very serious. He came out there and he went, the other guy wanted to touch gloves with him, but he wants no part of that.
Letterman telling us from his microphone that it is not a requirement that they touch gloves, not a rule. Sanchez didn't have to observe that formality if he didn't want to.
The only thing you have to wonder about a guy like Enrique Sanchez is there a formidable opponent on his record list? Has he faced anyone with the talent of a guy, say, the guy he's in there with now?
Certainly Vargas is a step up in experience from most of Enrique Sanchez's previous opponents, but Vargas is not a heavy hitter.
No. Which is no doubt why they picked him as an opponent. But he told us he didn't come here to be a victim, and he can fight.
Well, we know that from watching his 8-round technical draw with Johnny Tapia, because he was, in the view of many, in control of the fight in the later rounds against the very skilled Tapia.
Excellent right hand over the top by Vargas.
Vargas beginning to land. Most of the early action came from Sanchez.
The scouting report on Sanchez is big left hand, can be hit.
And sometimes big punches do tend to tire, or they lose courage after they can't knock a guy out with those big punches.
All of those, the questions facing Enrique Sanchez as he looks for his 18th consecutive victory and continues to move toward a possible showdown well into the future against fellow Mexican phenom Marco Antonio Barrera.
Vargas is one of the best basic boxers that you're ever going to see. He does the 1, 2, 3. He has perfect footwork, and everything that a basic boxer should do, he does very well. He moves to the left to fight a southpaw like he's supposed to do.
He's well conditioned, or he wouldn't be able to maintain that footwork as he does. And there's a solid right hand by Ricardo Vargas, who has found the target in the last minute and a half of round 1 against Enrique Sanchez.
Excellent body shot by Sanchez.
Hardest punch of the latter part of the round for Sanchez, who was restricted to the jab for much of the round after the early thunder against Vargas. And when we go to the Spanish-speaking corners, our interpreter is Ray Torres.
Bien, bien. Enrique.
How do you feel? You got to keep that jab going, and the right hand is what's going to do it for you. Throw the jab to the top and the straight right. The first thing you got to do is the jab and then the right. When he gets closer, make sure you get him with the left hook to the body. And we knew that that's the way he was going to come out, pressing the action. Move to the side because he's trying to hit you with that big left right hook.
Let's go, seconds out.
There's our pal Smiley.
His manager Frank Espinoza said that he once saw Sanchez smile during a game of Nintendo, briefly. Right hand over the top by Vargas, and he's finding more and more chances, Roy, to land that long looping right over the top.
Because Sanchez does not have a great deal of head movement. And he's throwing big punches. Anytime you throw big punches, they cause you to be out there longer than you should be. And this is when Vargas usually counters him.
Vargas's plan, obviously, to go in and then move back out after doing damage.
There's a mouth under Sanchez's left eye from that right hand of Vargas. Excellent right hand.
Left hand by Sanchez, and down goes Vargas, and there's the power in the straight left.
He does have power, and Vargas is truly hurt now.
Hey, you all right? What do you mean? Okay.
If he survives this round, this will turn into an excellent fight. Sanchez, being young, also has to make sure that he doesn't run into a big punch by Vargas here.
Vargas on his bicycle comes back with that right hand over the top and lands it.
And the swelling is starting to show under Sanchez's left eye.
Sure is. straight to the chest by Sanchez. Vargas is going to have to find a way to stay away from Enrique Sanchez's powerful straight left hands.
He has a very powerful left hand, but that eye is swelling rapidly.
Now Vargas is moving both ways, Roy. Which way is best to neutralize the left?
To his left is the best way because he moves away from Sanchez's power. But what he's doing is he's moving left and right because he doesn't want Sanchez to set up and throw any punch, because both of Sanchez's hands probably are very powerful.
So this is heady defensive work by Vargas after he had been dropped earlier in the round.
This is veteran work by Vargas.
Another solid left hand in the middle of that exchange by Enrique Sanchez. This time Vargas stays up on his toes.
And the reason Vargas gets hit while he's punching is because he stays straight up to throw 3 punches, just like he did right then. Once he starts to punch, he stands still with his head straight up in the air.
Watch those heads, man. Watch those heads.
Round 2 coming to a close. Vargas was down early in the round, but as Roy Jones has pointed out, there is now a significant swelling under the left eye of Enrique Sanchez.
And Vargas knows that. He's putting a lot of pressure on him.
Okay. Come on.
All right, tell him keep his eyes closed. The eye is a little puffy, but we'll take care of it, says Chuck.
Hold it.
Take a look at the knockdown after a right hand. Sanchez stays in close, a straight, quick left hand. Caught Vargas flat-footed, knocked him down on the seat of his pants.
Seconds out. Let's go. Seconds out.
And you saw Chuck Bodak working with the salve on the eye of Enrique Sanchez. Right eye looks a tiny bit puffy too, but it's the left eye which is significantly swollen. Vargas up on his toes again as round 3 begins. He's going to have a lot of stamina to last through the distance up on his toes like this, Roy.
I think this is the way he fights all the time, so his body should be pretty much used to doing this. The thing is, though, he's also making Sanchez work harder than what Sanchez is probably used to.
One stat numbers showing that Vargas landed more than half of his power shots in the first 2 rounds. Obviously, most of those, the right hand over the top, which has been finding the target.
If he throws 1 punch at a time and moves his head, then come back and punch, I think he'd be much safer. Great uppercut by Vargas.
Left hand uppercut by Vargas. He's able to counter Sanchez in close. Now Sanchez lands the straight left again. Good solid right hand by Vargas.
Anytime Vargas throws 2 jabs, he moves right into the line of the straight left of Sanchez. This is how he got knocked down in the first round.
Yeah, because he kind of left the right hand dangling out there too. The knockdown was early in round 2. Midway through the 3rd now.
Vargas is throwing a very good right hand there.
And forcing Sanchez to think defensively and to opt for more head movement. And as Sanchez does all this, his punch output is dropping.
And he doesn't get to concentrate on the power shots like he wants to.
So another fine piece of technicianship from Ricardo Vargas, who gave Johnny Tapia all he could handle here in Vegas a year ago and is doing the same right now with Enrique Sanchez. Ricardo Vargas in the blue shorts, Enrique Sanchez in the white. Vargas lost his most recent fight to a southpaw named Rudy Bradley and said he learned enough from that experience to be well prepared to go against a southpaw this time around.
And you can tell by the way that he's moving that he did learn a lot from whoever he fought.
Vargas's footwork creating a
Excellent
mystery
right
so
hand.
far for Enrique Sanchez.
Look, you have to be careful with his right hand. He's coming right at you. He's beating you to the punch. You got to be quicker than him. You need to hit to the body because he's moving too much. Hit him to the body and you'll weaken him. Underneath, the jab and the straight right hand.
Still to come. In the second of our two bouts this evening, the main event, super featherweight champion Azuma Nelson of Ghana. 17 years in the pro fight game and meeting Jesse James Leija for the third time. Leija got a draw and a victory in their first two bouts, and Azuma swears up and down, no one will beat me twice.
Vargas is a newsboy in Tijuana between fights, has a paper route. If he rushes back after this fight, he'll be able to read that he had a hell of a good round in the third round and while he's distributing the papers.
I told you before the fight that Sanchez is the power puncher, but through the first three rounds, Vargas has landed almost the same number of power shots, and more than half of those he's attempted.
It looks like Sanchez has bad intentions on his mind for this round.
Bad intentions can lead to frustration when the opponent is this hard to find.
Yeah, it can, and this is where you get to test the young fighters. This is where you really find out what they are made of.
Sanchez landing a shot there on the upper right arm of Vargas. You land to the arms and shoulders, and you might begin to slow a guy down.
You will slow him down, and you'll make his arms and shoulders very weary.
Watch his head. Watch his head. Come on, let's go.
Vargas still up on his toes, not punching as much in this round as he did in the third. Sanchez trying to pick his shots.
Larry, does Vargas jog through that paper route? Because he's in very good shape here.
He darts through the traffic in Tijuana, in and out of the automobiles, selling papers, making change.
And says that lots of the customers in cars know who he is as he sells them the newspapers going by. Hard left hand again by Sanchez. Vargas moves away. Sanchez reaching with the left that time. Vargas no longer able to target Sanchez's left eye as he was doing earlier.
No, because I think the power has him where he wants to stay away from Sanchez for a little while. He's not taking the gamble that he was taking earlier in the fight.
Maybe he believes he's ahead on points.
Maybe he's beginning to tire. I see his mouth open.
He had such a good round in the third round, Roy, and he just seems to have sat back on it. He's doing exactly what he wasn't doing in the last round, which is trying to beat him to the punch.
And this would cause him to get hit more than he normally does.
Both fighters flurry briefly in the closing seconds of what has been a largely inactive round. And the last punch landed was a left to the body by Sanchez.
A very smart punch.
Lo que hiciste es ahorita de pegarle abajo los dos golpes combinándole arriba, eso es lo que tienes que estar haciendo continuamente para que lo pares, ¿oíste? Digo.
Harold Letterman, how do you have it scored so far?
Jim, 39-36, 3 rounds to 1, Enrique Sanchez. I gave him a 10-8 round for the knockdown in round 2. I certainly gave him rounds 1, 2, and 4. And Ricardo Vargas is doing a lot of running, and Enrique Sanchez is no doubt bothered by that movement. But the truth of the matter is Ricardo Vargas is just not getting in a lot of hard shots. Those shots are just too light. They're not doing enough damage. Enrique Sanchez landing all the good power shots.
We are in accord on the score, Harold.
Détente. The Merchant Letterman détente.
Let's go, second down.
Chuck Bodak's done a pretty good job on Sanchez's left eye, which looks a tiny bit more open now than was the case in round 2.
And Sanchez landed some great body shots in that last round. This can make a guy that moves a lot, like Vargas, slow down very rapidly.
Vargas still up on his toes as round 5 begins. Sanchez has been flat-footed and looking for power shots all the way.
Right now, Vargas is fighting a fight that looks like he's trying to survive rather than win.
2 hard left hands landed by Sanchez there, and Vargas is slowing down just a little bit.
The body shots will do that to you.
Up is a very good round so far for Enrique Sanchez, who is getting more and more effective at ducking and slipping Vargas as he comes in, and then landing the left hand when he gets a chance.
And so far, this seems to be a good fight for a young fighter like Sanchez. It's teaching him a lot. He's learning to move their head. He's taking chances. He's putting punches together. He's doing all the things you like to see in a great young fighter. But he has to.
Yeah, he's being stretched to the limit here by a guy whose experience is obvious. Hard right hand by Vargas.
No better teacher than experience.
Vargas turning the tide just a little bit now in round 5. You must be in sensational condition to fight 10 full rounds the way Ricardo Vargas is fighting, but obviously his plan is to do exactly that.
That's what it seems like to me. I think he has nothing else in mind. But of course, I don't think he can fight this kid any other way.
Well, certainly if he ever came down off of his toes and stood still, he'd be in trouble. Or so it would appear.
He would only stand still, he'd probably lie still. But he knows it.
Another good hard left hand inside by Sanchez, who's landed 2 of them in this round, coming up and under with it.
And there again was one of the body shots that I'm telling you about by Sanchez.
Round 5 coming to a close. One of the better rounds of the fight so far for the man in white, Enrique Sanchez.
Ahí como le cortaste el rim para el lado, de este lado, cham. Y el otro se dio vuelta, y le das un pinche golpe y corta el rim a volar por el otro lado. Es lo que te sigue. Dale, dale. Oye, dale.
Quickly now, let's look ahead to a program we hope you'll love on HBO.
Night at 10:15 on HBO.
That's this coming Tuesday. Spirit of the Games, an Olympic documentary on HBO in the same spirit as our baseball offering of a few years back when it was a game.
After half of this fight, Jim, I get the feeling I've seen it. It ain't going to be any different.
Well, the big question is, could Sanchez find a way to pull out a knockout, which is the best way to preserve his reputation as a rising superstar, although there'd be no embarrassment from a decision in this fight against a veteran like Vargas.
And Vargas has a mouth developed under his right eye now, so they kind of match a little.
Matching mice, huh?
Mice under the power punch hands.
Vargas going to the body.
A great body shot by Vargas. A great answer to the body by Sanchez.
This is a guy with 6 shooters against a guy with cannons.
Vargas landing the right again. Sanchez with that perpetually dour expression comes back, trying to land a solid left-hand shot, and there it was.
Good overhand left by Sanchez.
Zurdo de oro, it means the left hand of gold. Saw that Olympic footage between rounds, including the shot of Muhammad Ali, then Cassius Marcellus Clay at Rome in 1960, where he won the light heavyweight gold medal. The Mexican Olympic Committee had hoped that Enrique Sanchez would remain an amateur long enough to represent them in Barcelona, but in 1990 he determined that his family needed money and he was going to turn professional.
Now his nose is bleeding a little. Sanchez is.
Uppercut attempted by Vargas from pretty long range, and Sanchez came back with a left and a right.
Vargas seems to be a little bit more willing to gamble here.
Natives are getting restless.
You're staying too far behind with those punches. You got to cut off the distance. You're giving him too much room. You need to get up close and hit him. You got to hit him with your left hook. You need to be moving lateral movement.
Primero da más, ahora sí, rapidez. Hola, camarón de segundo aire. Está pasando lento el güey.
He's tired and he's hurt. You need to use that speed. That you're doing good, but you need to keep away from him. As soon as he misses, he's off balance, you got to hit him.
Roy, we saw the low connect percentages for both fighters with the jab. I guess it's hard to land a jab against a guy who's moving the way Vargas does, and on the other hand, when you're moving the way Vargas does, it's hard for you to land a jab too.
Yeah. The easiest thing to hit is a steel target. But like you said, you also can't punch and run at the same time.
Hard left hand by Sanchez, and he suspects he's got Vargas hurt.
I thought Vargas blocked the punch.
He did, Roy.
Sanchez didn't think so.
He didn't block that one against the ropes then, though.
He has his right hand practically nailed to his jaw when he gets in trouble.
me of another fighter who they used to refer to as Chapo by the name of Edwin Rosario. His foot movement is much like Rosario's.
Just doesn't have the right-hand power that Rosario had.
No, he doesn't have that.
Chapo in Spanish means little guy. That's the colloquial interpretation. And you see the increasingly effective head movement of Sanchez there as he slipped the right hand that was hitting him earlier.
I think Sanchez has learned a lot in this fight.
I think what he's learned, Roy, is not to fight these kind of guys. You never have a good time fighting them, even when you win.
Well, he's a very serious young man who wants to be a devoted disciplinarian in pursuit of this art, and I think he'll enjoy a tough learning experience if it comes out okay for him.
I think he will, too.
Vargas is finally down on flat feet. He's lost all that bounce as the 7th round comes toward a close. Sanchez is landing more and more of those lefts, isn't he, Roy?
Yeah, he is, because Vargas is starting to slow a little. 2 great body shots by Vargas.
Estás avisando demasiado, López. Por eso se lo estás fallando, Enrique.
Veteran Jessica Allery of the 3 round card girls tonight. She's the only one who's done it before, so they rely on her for guidance and inspiration throughout the fight, and the crowd likes her too.
Maybe they have a reason. She's a veteran.
She knows what kind of vivacity to bring to it.
You need to keep moving. You need to have a lot of movement for the weight and flare away.
Vargas said he wouldn't be a victim, and he hasn't been, but he hasn't been a victor either. She wants to...
Oh, there's a right hand shot. Best punch of the night for Vargas.
But then he takes out heading north again. There's a good right hand.
Sanchez awakened by Vargas's right hand over the top.
The one thing a fighter sitting at home may notice about Sanchez is that he doesn't elect to fight going backwards.
Good for his style?
Well, sort of because of his punching power, but if you find a guy who is gutsy enough, who can take the punch, and who will force him to fight going backwards, then he's in trouble.
You just described Barrera.
On purpose.
Time! You're not cornered. You're not cornered. Come here.
So looking down the road, you think
there's a cut on the right eye.
Caused by an accidental butt.
Of Vargas by an accidental butt.
Yep.
You heard Mitch Halpern, the referee, describe what happened.
But let me make one more point here about the Barrera fight. Sometimes we never know how well these guys know one another. When guys face each other in their amateur careers, they learn more about one another than we would ever know. So it still would be a very interesting fight to see.
That's part of the big mystery surrounding a possible Lennox-Lewis-Riddick-Bowe fight. What would be the effect of Lewis's knockout victory over Bowe in Seoul on the professional fight if it ever took place? And we told you, Sanchez beat Barrera in Barrera's last amateur fight and knocked him down in the fight.
And you can be sure that Barrera will not forget being knocked down.
Oh, all right, step back, please. Step back. Let's go.
And you see the blood on the right eye of Ricardo Vargas from the small cut that Mitch Halpern described to the ring doctor when he said caused by an accidental butt.
It's below the eye, and it shouldn't be dangerous.
Watch those heads. Go. Break. Gentlemen, watch those heads. Come on.
As you can tell, Vargas just doesn't have any pop in his punches. He's basically a 118-pounder, and he's not a big puncher even at that weight, and he's moved up to Sanchez's weight.
And I think these body shots are starting to have a little bit of an effect on Vargas.
Crowd likes it. Vargas with a big right hand and then eats a huge left. Round 8 comes to a close.
Great action in round 8.
That was the best exchange of the fight.
That was boxing after dark stuff.
From not pour no water on him. Le metió 4 golpes en lo abajo, muy abajo, man. Yeah.
Mark was accidentally both hit heads.
Here you see the exchange at the end, a crushing left hand that buckled Vargas, but back he comes, regains his feet, and gets out of the round.
Harold Letterman, what do you have?
Jim, 78-73, 6 rounds to 2, Enrique Sanchez. I think this guy's got a big lead. Ricardo Vargas is running like heck. I mean, he's running like a son of a gun. And Enrique Sanchez is just landing those harder shots. And like Larry said, it's a super bantamweight against a super flyweight.
17 previous fights. Sanchez has never been the full 10-round distance. His 2 route-going performances against Jose Rangel were at 4 and 6 rounds. So this promises to be at least the lengthiest test of Enrique Sanchez's career. Eighth round was a power shot festival. Both fighters landing more than half of their power shot attempts.
Good body shot by Enrique Sanchez.
Right hand landed up top for Vargas. He's increasingly brave in trading shots with Sanchez down the stretch.
Yeah, but Sanchez is also landing some wicked body shots, which is what Vargas should be trying to do.
Vargas asks Halpin for help in keeping Sanchez's head off his forehead.
Great defense by Vargas.
He's a skilled fighter.
I told you, he's one of the best basic boxers that I've seen in a long time.
Makes you want to see the 5 guys who've beaten him.
Oh, another lovely body shot by Enrique Sanchez.
Part of the difference in the bout, Sanchez's willingness to go to the body and ability to land there. Always coming forward. When you've established yourself as the aggressor in the bout, you get a better chance to land those body punches.
Yeah, you get a great chance to land the body punches, but if you ever run across a fighter who knows how to get out in front of you, which means to act before you have a chance to act, so he just keep you reacting, he will beat you if you're a forward fighter.
And you're talking again about Marco Antonio Barrera. Potential opponent down the road for Sanchez if all goes well.
Right there, Vargas did what he should have been doing all night. He led with a big right hand and came in and then he got out. That's the only way to fight a guy who comes forward like that.
Particularly a southpaw, right?
Particularly a southpaw, exactly. See there? Anytime he starts first, you can hit him. But he has to get out of there after he starts.
And again, Vargas lands a right and takes a much heavier left in return.
Because he stays there, and then Sanchez does the same thing back to him. There. That's what it takes. But don't stay there with a big puncher like Sanchez.
Enrique, te estás quedando demasiado.
You're staying too close to him, and he's hitting you because you're standing still. You need to be moving and throwing those left hooks.
Te estás quedando demasiado.
You need to knock this kid out in order to beat him. You're so far behind, you're going to need a knockout. Okay.
¿Por qué nomás por arriba si también tiene la parte de abajo? Por abajo. Sí, abajo y arriba.
You need to, underneath, on top, you need to throw combinations. Let's go now. This is the last round. You want to win? Let's go for it.
Newsy, if you want to win this fight with a knockout, you'll be on the front page of the papers you're selling tomorrow in Tijuana.
One thing I have to say about Sanchez in this particular fight is that he also hasn't had a lot of chances to fight backing up. Because if he had backed up, then we really would have been in for a bore. So there's still a possibility that he can box backing up. But I just don't see it anywhere.
Well, he's been making the fight here against a guy who figured that lateral movement was going to throw him off. And maybe for the first few rounds it confused him a little bit. But in the latter rounds, he has put body punching together with hard left-hand shots over the top to take increasing command against a very brave Ricardo Vargas.
Yeah, he's fought a very smart fight here. He did what had to be done, which is to keep pressure on this guy, because Vargas is going to show you all types of movement.
And Vargas, told by the man in his corner he would need a knockout to win, is not doing anything to indicate he wants to fulfill that expectation.
No, it looks like he's just going to be content with going the distance.
He fights good enough to lose, which is why they have matched him with the fighter who's being showcased.
A mean overhand left by Sanchez.
And Vargas seemingly wobbled just a little bit by the first of those two left hands. Sanchez will once again try to apply the finisher. And now this is going to be a headbutt discussion.
Yeah. Some blood from Sanchez's nose on that last butt.
I think these are accidental butts, though.
Sanchez wants a KO.
And he's
15 out of 17 KOs coming in. He wants 16 out of 18.
And he may be about to get it.
The drama here as the bout draws to a close. Ricardo Vargas not doing much to give himself a chance to come back. Sanchez wants to punctuate this by putting the man on the canvas.
Step back, run up.
Probably won't do it by loading up shots like that.
Now he'll have to put combinations on Vargas still. Vargas, as we said, is a veteran. He knows how to survive.
Well, it's gotten increasingly easy in these last few rounds for Sanchez. And Vargas in the 10th round elected to try to finish the fight. And it's getting tougher and tougher for him to do that.
And he made it.
Little empty symbolism there as Vargas's corner lifts him in the air. Barring a bizarre turn of events with the scoring of this bout, Enrique Sanchez has coasted to an easy decision.
No, está bien. No hay nada. No hay nada. Es un botón. El round de la caída y porque va 1 o 2 rounds después.
Another look at how the bout ended. 10th round was a mismatch as Sanchez landed 38 of 80 punches by punch stat count. Most of them power shots. Vargas threw only 20 blows in the last round and landed 4. And Harold Letterman, how did you score the 10-round bout?
Jim, 97-91, 7 rounds to 3, Enrique Sanchez. I scored that last round 10-8 without a knockdown. I mean, referee Mitch Hoffman was ready to stop it in the 10th. Certainly, Enrique Sanchez deserved an extra point for winning that 10th round by a huge margin. Enrique Sanchez wins easy with the power shots. Ricardo Vargas, a great job of running. He tried, but he was just too small for a bigger, harder-hitting guy.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Harold.
And we'll see if the judges are in accord with Harold Letterman on what would appear to have been an obvious, easy decision victory for Enrique Sanchez. It would bring his record to 18-6. Final punch stat numbers, and you'll see the increasing domination in the late rounds by Sanchez, who wound up landing 38% of his punches, threw more than Vargas, and landed 71 more punches than Vargas over the long haul. Through the midway point in the bout, these numbers were about even. So the last 5 rounds were mostly Sanchez. Jabs in the bout, and you can see that Vargas threw more and landed a few more, but Sanchez had the slightly better landing percentage. And now let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Boulder Station, we go to the scorecards. Dwayne Ford scores the bout 99-90. Patricia Morris Jarman scores at 97-91. And Al Siciliano scores it 97-92 for the winner by unanimous decision, still undefeated, El Zurdo de Oro, Enrique Sanchez. Applause for one very game young fighter here.
So there it is, unanimous decision for Sanchez. He stays on track for continued ascendancy in the 122-pound weight class. Sanchez now with his 18th consecutive victory. He does not get the knockout against a pretty high-quality opponent in Ricardo Vargas, but did everything he had to do to dominate the fight and earn another victory. En route to a possible meeting somewhere down the road with fellow Mexico City product, fellow 122-pounder, fellow knockout artist Marco Antonio Barrera, the star of Edition 1 of Boxing After Dark on February 3 earlier this year. So now we get ready for our main event of the evening between Jesse James Leija of San Antonio, Texas, and Asuma Nelson of Ghana. The two fighters, as we've told you, have met twice before. In the first of the 2 bouts, Leija appeared to have the edge, but wound up with a draw. Then Leija more thoroughly dominated the second of the 2 meetings, and although one scorecard had him winning by only a single point, the other 2 scorecards had him well ahead, and he went on to a decision victory over Nelson. Nelson has vowed, nobody will beat me twice. Larry Merchant, as we get ready for this bout, it's hard to imagine how, at age 37, 2 years after his last difficult passage with Leija, Asuma Nelson could turn this around by doing something different against the younger opponent.
It is, but